Hey, good evening, everyone. We are here on October 26th for our every other week on Monday night live family parent forum. So we just got a few items I'd like to share with our families before we get started with questions. So if you'd like to put your questions in the chat bar, you can, and we'll answer questions as we move along. So first of all, just sharing some information. We have started up with some small groups on campus with some clubs, and we have our ASB elections taking place. You can find all of this information on the school's Facebook page. So we want to encourage all of our students to get involved. So ASB elections are going to be taking place. So if your son or daughter or your student is interested in getting involved in student government, that's the way for them to do that. If they have questions, they can contact Christy Zakem. Ms. Zakem is our science department chair and a science teacher here at school. So her email is C as in cat, and then Zakem, Z as in zebra, AKEM at sheltonschools.org. She can answer questions with regards to the ASB elections. Next up, we have NHS, National Honor Society letters have gone out. If you have questions about National Honor Society, Richard Lewis, Senior Lewis is the sponsor for that club. He can be reached at his email also. Also, this Thursday night, October 29th, is the 2021 Senior Fright Night at the Skyline Drive-In. Tickets are being sold ahead of time, I believe, for $5. They're $8 at the door. A senior student has to be there. Family and friends can attend, but a senior student must be there to purchase the tickets. Again, more information is available on our Facebook page. Also, the Halloween costume contest is underway. If you look at the school's Facebook page, you'll see the themes for each day this week. There's prizes that will be given out to students that participate for best costumes on each day. We're asking is for students to one of two things, either take a picture of themselves dressed up in their costume, or if they want to submit original artwork for the theme for that day. Like today was Pandemic Pajama Day. I believe tomorrow is Stranger Than Fiction Day. So they can email their submission to Mr. Leopold, Trevor Leopold, and Activities and Athletic Director will take those submissions by email. And then winners will be announced on the school Facebook page. Also, I'd like to thank and recognize our NJROTC cadets. They participated in a cleanup at the Mason County Sheriff's Office, and they helped clean up all around the building and trim the bushes and trees and just clean up around and giving their time back to the community. There's a video on the Facebook page. So we want to thank those students. We want to thank the ROTC teachers, Commander Hood and Hernandez, and just really appreciate them giving back to the community. Up next, regarding conferences, we do have our parent guardian conferences coming up with teachers. The advisory teachers will be contacting each of their families that they have advisory students for and letting them know how to sign up. The conferences will be a virtual conference by Zoom or some other electronic means, but we will do virtual conferences. Information will be going out to the teachers tomorrow morning. They will start contacting their families for their advisory classes. And then conferences are next Wednesday and Thursday. So not this week, but next week. I believe that is the 4th and 5th, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. So on Wednesday and Thursday of next week, November 4th and 5th, we will be having our annual fall conferences with our parent and guardians. If you have questions on that, please feel free to email me and I can give you more information. But the teachers will be contacting their families this week. Lastly, I'd like to, I sent a survey out today to parents and guardians. We'll be also sending a survey out to our students. Hopefully we will get that out tomorrow. We surveyed our teachers and our staff as well. We're just trying to get feedback on the first trimester, the schedule as far as the number of classes each day. Again, I think there might have been a little misunderstanding. And if I wasn't clear, I apologize for that, but I'd like to clear it up now. The survey does not mean we will be online for the whole entire year. So some parents or guardians interpreted the survey as meaning that we are seeking feedback so we can make changes for the rest of the school year. And that's not what we were trying to do. We were just trying to get feedback from, we're over halfway through the first trimester. We know that there was a rough start to the trimester. There's been some issues throughout the trimester. There's no doubt that everybody, teachers, families, students are working hard trying to make this work, but there are some issues that we need to look at and we need to address. So we're just simply trying to get feedback from our families on how to, on if any changes need to be made. If we do make changes, and then at some point in the future, we do come back in the hybrid model, then we would stay with those changes. We would make it work for in-person learning in the hybrid model. So any changes we make, we would have to be able to do that. If we could not do that, so if we do come back in the future, we're not going to switch back to something previously. If we do make changes, we're going to make them so that we can adapt to that when we do come back in the hybrid model. So I appreciate everybody's participation in the survey. It just went out this afternoon and we've got nearly 200 submissions already. So just know that your feedback is much appreciated. It's very valuable. And I do encourage all parents to complete the short survey. I don't think it takes that long to complete it. So I just value your feedback, and the more information we have, the better decisions we can make. So going forward now, I'd like to, if you have questions, please put them in the chat bar. And if you have questions about the survey or anything else, feel free to ask that. At this point, we don't have any questions in the chat bar. If somebody would just put something in there to make sure that I know that I'm live and you can hear me, that'd be great. I just want to make sure that I'm coming through. Thank you, Ashley and Shelley. Thank you very much. I appreciate you letting me know that you can hear me. It's always a little weird because at this end, I don't really see anything except me, and I can obviously hear myself talking. But I appreciate you letting me know that that you can hear me. We have one question about, do we have any guess about when in-person will happen? At this point, I do not know. I'm hoping that it's at some point during the second trimester. But again, I think it's all going to be determined by what happens with the virus and what the county health department, what the state says, and of course, any federal guidelines. I'm optimistic, and just personally, I hope that we can get kids back during the second trimester at some point. That would be my hope. But again, at this point, we're making plans. We do have a plan in place. So when we are ready to come back, we can make that in a fairly short transition period. And we would give our families and our students enough notice to make whatever arrangements need to be made at the home and in the community to make that happen smoothly. But again, I'm hoping we can get people back and get students back during the second trimester. Well, while we're waiting to see if there's any more questions, midterm grades were posted. And you will see that just a little clarification about midterm grades. Midterm grades are simply a progress report to give our families and our students an idea of where they're at this point. Typically it happens halfway through the trimester. We did push it back a week because of the all of the issues that we had in the beginning of the trimester, getting everybody online and getting started. So we did push it back a week. For the first time, I guess, this is my first time here, but from what I understand, the first time in a while we have issued incompletes to our students that were having some issues getting online, got behind. We had some connectivity issues, obviously. And so we did issue some incompletes. The teachers will be working with those students to make sure that they can get, they'll be working with all their students that are behind, but particularly the ones that are incomplete, to make sure they can get caught up before the end of the trimester and earn a grade and earn their credit for the class. And so those are posted and those can be seen on Skyward. So those were just issued. And then the first trimester ends right after the Thanksgiving break. So we have a question, is there a plan for COVID testing schedules for students who return for classes and especially student athletes? As far as actually testing students or staff, I do not know the answer to that. We at this point, we have not talked about actually testing, doing a COVID test for either students or staff. We do have a safety protocol check-in that we are using, where we are, anybody that comes into the building, whether it's staff or anybody else from the district office or whoever it might be, we take their temperature. We have them fill out an electronic attestation answering several questions about their current health situation, any symptoms or signs or those type of things. And that's for anybody, whether it's our athletes in some of our sports are practicing now. They do that on a daily basis when they get here. We are required to wear masks on campus. And so we do have that, we are following the safety protocol and making sure that, and so when, and we have a small group of students that come into the sub and on Monday and Wednesday, and then on Tuesday and Thursday, they also do the same thing. They get their temperature taken. They do the attestation online. They wear masks. So anybody that comes on a campus, we are following that protocol. If there is more information about particular testing, we will get that out as soon as we get the information. Next comment or question is concerned about the workload. We're concerned that the workload has been so reduced in high school. My daughter's a freshman in geometry, and she said the workload has been reduced by 50%. So basically, here's what we're doing. We've heard students and parents loud and clear about the amount of workload that K-12 has on the platform. And if you look on the platform, at just what K-12 has put on there, it is a significant workload for students. What our teachers are trying to do is they're trying to use their best judgment. So they work in teams. So in this particular question with regards to geometry, all of our geometry teachers are working together. So anybody that teaches geometry works together, and they look at the standards, and they look at what we refer to as I'm looking for now the word has escaped my mind now. Essential standards. There it is. What's essential? What do students have to know before, so to move on to the next level. And they're trying to pare that down to those essential standards, because the workload that is on K-12, if we just left that, it's overwhelming for students. Even our best students, it's overwhelming for. So rest assured that they will complete the course. They will be able to move on to the next level. And those teachers are meeting weekly and looking at what those essential standards are. There's a concern about cyberbullying going on, and you know, I will tell you that I have a really short tolerance for anybody, whether it's a student or an adult, that wants to bully or harass somebody. Understand that the cyberbullying, even when we're in school, is a difficult situation for schools to manage. The burden that we have to prove is that what takes place online outside of the school day or outside of class has to have an impact on the learning in school. So I'm not trying to minimize, but if you are dealing with that, please contact either myself or one of the administrators, and we will be willing to look into it. We will take it seriously. And if we can prove that it is having an effect on the learning, then we will do whatever we can to get it to stop. But I do understand that it takes place. It takes place even when we're not online learning. So it is something that we have to deal with, and we will deal with. But there are some challenges that we have when in proving what is actually taking place. So my best advice for parents that have children that are experiencing this, keep whatever you can get. So if you can screenshot text messages, messages on social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or whatever it might be, if you can screenshot it, if you can take pictures of it, whatever you can do to provide us with information helps us. And certainly if staff is doing it, I need to know about it. So I would ask you, Debbie, to contact me. The next question is, can we get a more updated missing assignment report? Yes, that's one thing we are working on. K-12 has got some idiosyncrasies that quite honestly don't make it user-friendly in some areas. In some areas, K-12 is great. It's awesome. There's other areas that we're having some difficulties with. The whole assignments and when they show up, and if once the due date goes past, they disappear in most cases. So we are working on that, trying to figure out how do we make sure that our students know in a more timely manner that they have missing assignments. So I'm going to make a note of myself to follow up on that in the morning. So thank you for asking that question and bringing that up. And I do see the comments regarding the 2 Instagram pages, and let me make a note of those, and I will certainly follow up on those. there's a comment about a wrestler, and if somebody, well, it doesn't have to be a wrestler even, but if somebody is symptom free, certainly they could pass it on to somebody else. If you suspect that your son or daughter or your student that you're responsible for may be infected and not showing signs, certainly do not send them to any practice or any activity at school. Have them tested. And again, there's always false negatives and false positives, but we do the best we can to make sure that we are screening people when they come in. And but if you have any concern at all, it's your right as a parent or guardian not to send your child. Even when we come back to school in a hybrid model, if you don't feel safe sending your student to school, then you certainly have the right to keep them home and continue learning in an online model. So I fully support the decision of the family to keep kids home if that's what they feel they need to do. And Erica, thank you for the comments. And I will follow up with Mr. Leopold to find out if there have been any discussions with the WIAA about student athlete testing. And that's something certainly we will follow up on. Does anybody have any questions regarding the conferences coming up? We want to make sure that all of our families have an opportunity to talk with their advisory teacher. And obviously, or if we were in person, it would certainly be a better situation to meet with the actual teachers. What the advisory teacher will tell you is that if you need to speak with the teacher, they're going to help you get in contact with the teacher. But with each teacher having 100+ kids and trying to do it virtually, there's just not enough time in both days, or enough time in any days to get every parent with every teacher. And then just parents trying to manage that also. So the advisory teachers will walk through the grades with you. They'll walk through the classes and answer any questions you have. And then if you feel like you need to speak with a teacher, they will help get you in contact with that teacher. With regards to the survey that went out today, anybody in the chat here, do you have any, if you've seen the survey, would you like to provide any feedback on here's the main thing we're looking at. We know, it's not just we're hearing, we know that students taking 5 classes every day is a lot online. Because if you think about it, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm on Zoom meetings quite a bit. And I go home with a headache almost every night. Like being online is just not easy. Everybody thinks, hey, this would be really easy to do. I think we're all finding out that online learning has some advantages, but it also has a lot of challenges. And especially when we're talking about our teenagers. So we're trying to find out if there's overwhelming support to look at a different model for second trimester on whether kids take all 5 classes or whether they take, for instance, an example would be like a college schedule. They have 3 classes on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and they have 2 classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Many of us that went to college, that's what a typical college schedule is. And so those classes would obviously be longer each day, but students would not have to focus on 5 classes every day. They would focus on 3 classes one day and they would focus on 2 the next day. There's also some examples of schedules out there where the morning is asynchronous learning, where the kids are online doing their assignments and working on their own. Excuse me. And then in the afternoon, there are live lessons for those days. So that provides the student with an opportunity to ask questions about things they didn't understand, to have the teacher provide clarification on things. That's another model that we've seen. So, so all we're trying to do is get some feedback from parents on what you think. We'll also be surveying the students. That will be going out also, as well as we surveyed our staff. Information has not been sent out yet, Ashley, regarding the conferences. So don't worry if you haven't seen it. It hasn't gone out yet, but it will be going out. Parents will be able to sign up for a certain time spot on Skyward. So we're making sure all of the settings are correct on Skyward. So parents and guardians can just go into Skyward and pick a time and set up their conference with their advisory teacher. But the advisory teacher is actually going to call also and help walk you through that if need be. And then if parents for some reason don't have access to the internet or they don't have access at that time, they could tell the teacher what time they want to meet, and that teacher can also set the time for them. So don't worry if you haven't received anything yet. So questions regarding there's a follow-up question. We talked earlier about the geometry, in particular about teachers identifying the essential standards and asking if there would be any materials provided for those supporting or additional clusters for independent study. At this point we're not there yet, but that could be a good idea for those students that are progressing and need some what I would call enrichment. So as we move through this, we have students that need some remediation, and then we have students that need some enrichment, that they're doing really well, they're getting caught up, and so that would be a really good idea for that. So Hannah, thank you very much for providing that information and asking that question. So question is, would moving to a different model help our students get more learning? So here's what we're looking at. We have, and again, it's a generalization for sure, but I think it sums up kind of where we are at in this online journey. We have students that have adapted well. They're doing okay. They're progressing. We have students that are online, they're engaged, they're struggling. It's a lot of work. It's a different type of work. It's a different type of learning. The one thing that we're finding, reading on a computer is really difficult for some people, me in particular. I mean, whenever I get anything in a Zoom meeting, I print it. And I know that our families don't have that luxury in a lot of cases, but I have a hard time reading on the computer and reading anything of length on a computer. And so I know our students do. And I know a lot of people have trouble just reading anything of length on a computer. So we have students that are engaged, but they're struggling and they're trying to get caught up. And then we have students that just have chosen not to engage. We have some students that when we look at login times, they're not logging in very long. They're logging in for, in some cases, less than a minute. And so we're trying to find out why that is. And in fact, a number of people will be undertaking an effort to contact families to have a discussion about what we can do to get these kids engaged in learning, especially as we get closer to the second trimester. So we're trying to figure out what is going to help us get more students engaged. I think if the engagement goes up, I think the learning goes up. We also have to determine what's the right balance for live lessons. And I know I've talked about this before. Like I said, the K-12 platform has a lot of benefits. It has a lot of good information embedded in it. But one of the one of the things that we have to be careful of is the K-12 platform was designed for that, exactly what it is, online learning. And it wasn't necessarily designed to have live lessons every day, all 5 periods, the entire period. So we have to figure out what's the right balance of having teachers with live lessons, having teachers available for students to drop in for assistance, and then having students in asynchronous learning. And so we're looking at different options to see, is there an option, a better option that will allow us to get more students online and engaged? We have to get students engaged. If they're engaged, we can help them. If they're not engaged, we can't help them. So when we ask moving to a different model, will that help get more learning? We're hoping and we're looking for something that will get more students engaged. There's a question about incompletes on the midterm grades. If your student has an incomplete on a midterm grade, yes, I would reach out to the teacher as soon as possible. Teachers will be reaching out to students, but it is always good to encourage our students to advocate for themselves, or in any case, especially with our younger students, to have parents advocate for them also. But yes, keep reaching out to the teachers. Again, I will tell you that my expectation is that I expect the teacher to return an email or a phone call within 24 hours. If that's not happening, I need to know. And I've seen on some of the comments on the survey about issues with getting a response from our teachers. If it happens, I need to know if you're not getting a response. But I would encourage you or your child or your son or daughter or your student to reach out to the teacher and get started on that as soon as possible. If there's a comment about, that the student keeps telling them they're trying and that they states is doing his work. Let me scroll back up a little bit and see if it's the same person real quick. Okay, yeah, Ashley, yeah. So here's what I would like any parent to do. If you feel and your child or your student feels that they are doing what they're supposed to be doing, they're logging on, they're doing their work, and they're not having success in their grades, please reach out to either the teacher or your student's counselor, or reach out to one of the administrators. We want to know, and so that we can get assistance and help. Because if a student is logging on, they're doing all their work, they're completing their assignments, and they're not seeing the results in the grades, we need to help with that. And so we need to provide support, but we need to know about it. And certainly the teacher can help, but I understand the teachers have 100 and some kids, and sometimes they just don't, sometimes they don't have it. They don't realize, they don't see it. So if you reach out to one of us, we can help with that. We can talk with the teacher. We can find out what needs to be done, where it's lacking. We can kind of create that connection. So please reach out. If you want to know login times, send me an email and I will get you instructions with pictures and arrows and everything on how you can check login times on K-12. Okay. And I see Miss Worsbicki on here, who happens to be the freshman counselor also. And that's a good place to start with her. So I see you guys are connected on there, so that's good. There's a shout out to Sergeant Major Hernandez, Lieutenant Commander Hood. Yeah, they're doing an awesome job with the cadets and in some trying circumstances, in these trying times. So they're doing awesome also. And I appreciate Hannah. I appreciate your comments about our teachers. And I know I've said this before, and I've been in education a long time. This is my 33rd year, and I can honestly tell you, and I didn't know what to expect when I got up here. I know that teachers, for the most part, are in this business for the right reasons. But I can tell you, in 33 years, I've never seen a group of teachers work hard and harder than this group of teachers. I know that teachers are working hard all over the country. I know in our district, they're working hard at every one of our schools. But I can only speak for the teachers we have here at Shelton. I'm extremely proud of them. Have we made mistakes? Yes. Has this been the greatest year? No. Has things went smoothly for everybody? No. But I can tell you it's not for lack of effort. So I just continue to ask that you work with us. I don't want to fight with anybody. I don't want to argue. I really don't. I want to work with you, and our teachers want to work with you, and we want to see all of our students be successful. But in order to do that, especially in these times, and I'm telling you, it's hard enough when we're in person. But especially in these times, we have to work together. Our students need to see that our community, our families, and our school and our staff are working together on this. If our students see that there's animosity between the school and the community, or between parents and the school, or between whatever, it just sends the wrong message to them. And I know that a lot has changed in the last, well, what are we going on? 7 months now, or 6 months, or whatever it is. A lot has changed. But I will tell you the most important thing that all of us have to do to work together is make sure our kids are prepared for life after high school. Because it's coming whether we like it or not. I mean, the future is not stopping because of the pandemic. I can tell you that. And I think everybody knows that. That in the future, these kids are going to be out of high school, and it's our job to make sure that they're prepared, and it's all of our job. So whatever it is they choose to do in the future, whether it's go to college, whether it's go to the workforce, whether it's go into the military, whether it's going to a trade school, whatever it is, we have to work together to make sure that we are preparing them the best way we can. And what I like to say is we're preparing kids for college, career, and life. And because it's coming. And nobody wishes more than I do that we were back in school and things were normal, so to speak. But I just don't know what normal is going to look like in the future. So I just keep asking our families to continue to work with us. We can disagree and we can agree to disagree, but in the end, we have to work together. So there's a question about, or a comment about login times would be great to send out to all parents. I have to look into that. I'm not sure how, and again, I'm no expert on K-12. I'll be the first to admit that. But I am going to ask Ms. Doomers in the morning. She seems to have the best handle on it, to be honest with you. I am going to make a note and ask her in the morning. I think I know what we can do is send instructions out to parents, clear instructions on how to look at login times for your child. I just don't know if we can send them out and email out a certain student to a certain parent or guardian, but I'm certainly willing to look into that. So there is a question regarding, is there an option for kids to get packets of homework? The answer to that is no, we are not doing packets. But I would like, Kathy, if you would contact me, Um, if you would send me an email, and again, my email is B as in boy, Kipper, Kipper at sheltonschools.org. Kathy, if you would send me an email, I do want to talk to you and work with you on how we can provide support. So hopefully we can work together and come up with a plan on to help with that. But again, I do realize that we have some students that are struggling with online instruction, but I think there's some things we can do to support and help them. So I would just ask that, and that not just Kathy, but anybody that has that situation, please email me and we can get working on that. Any other questions for tonight? April, thank you for the suggestions there on how parents can look at login times. Oh, Miss Doomers, there you are. Thanks for joining us. So Miss Doomer said she already made a note to get something out to families. So I told her she had the night off, but she still joined us, I guess. Is there any other information or questions I can answer with regards to anything we talked about tonight? And again, I just want to thank the teachers and the staff that are working with our clubs and working with ASB elections, NHS, our coaches. I mean, this is really, and I know this is really difficult. I mean, one of the reasons why I and pretty much all of the staff choose to work at a high school is that it's all the other stuff that happens. You know, it's the ASB elections, it's the club activities, it's the sporting events, it's all of those things that happen that our kids are involved in. It's the plays and the musicals and the choir concerts and the musical concerts, the band concerts. It's all those things that our students are involved in that we get to see them display their talents in. And so our staff is working really hard to try to make this. And again, when I use the term normal, it's almost, I feel bad even saying it. But they're trying really hard to give the students a sense of normalcy, a sense of what it's like when they're actually here. So all of our staff that are involved in these activities, whether they're just online in a virtual format or whether there are NJROTC cadets actually going out in the community, I just really appreciate their efforts. And I think our community should appreciate their efforts in these times, trying to give kids the access and the normalcy and the activities that they want to be involved in. And little by little, we're adding more things. As we get clearance and we get the okay to add things, we are adding them as soon as possible. So I just really appreciate our staff for doing that. And I also appreciate our students for wanting to be involved in those things. So again, check the school Facebook page for all the activities and things going on with, like we said, elections, the Fright Night, senior Fright Night, parent survey, Halloween costume contest. There's a host of things going on. Check out the video of the NJROTC cadets at the sheriff's office cleaning up. And you can see the kids in that video were very happy to be there, and we're excited to help out in the community. There's an interview with one of the cadets, so it's, you know, slowly but surely we're getting people back involved. And on a personal note, I won't say anything about the Cardinals and the Seahawks football game last night. I know you guys don't want to talk about that. So I just appreciate the Seahawks giving us a win. So anyway. Anything else that I can answer tonight for our families? I know we're on like a 15-second delay, so I'm trying to give a little wait time here. All right, so thank you very much. Again, if you have any questions that you didn't get on or that you want to ask or you think about later, please email me. I will get back to you as quick as possible. And again, I just want to thank our families that take the time out of their busy week and on Monday night, especially to come on here and ask their questions and listen. And like I said, we can agree to disagree and we can have our own opinions, but the bottom line is we all need to continue to work together. And I think that we have. I know that, excuse me, the parents that I've spoken to and had the opportunity to meet with and talk to have all been very supportive in the end, and we all want the same thing. We all want our students to do well. And right now we have some that aren't. And so we will continue to work tirelessly to make sure that we do whatever we can to reach every kid. So if your child is having issues, or your student's having problems, please reach out. And if you don't get a response, please reach out to me. All right. Okay, I appreciate it. And I'm going to follow up on these things that we talked about, missing assignments, how we can work to make sure that kids can see what they're missing. I've got a couple of Instagram pages I'm going to take a look at. And Ms. Doomers has already acknowledged that she's going to be working on instructions to look at login times. So thank you very much. Have a great rest of the evening. Be safe. And we will talk to you in 2 weeks. Thank you.